and just kind of seeing how everybody's doing and talking to you guys a little bit. We're going into 2022, so the whole, I like to get out and talk to everybody, and at the start of a new year, we want to start doing our goal setting, right? So, I wanted to make sure that you guys are all set up to start thinking about 22 and put your goals together. And what I'd ask that everybody does is, when you're doing your goal setting, have a real end goal, have a big thing, and then a whole bunch of mini goals for 2022. And what I'd like to do, and I'll challenge everybody in the next 30 to 45 days to write them out. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that should be in your goals, but I'd like to come out here, sit with everybody for 15, 20 minutes and really discuss, what your goal is for 2022 and maybe offer some insight, give you some feedback. But if mark it in your calendar sometime in the next 30, 45 days, send me an email, and then I'll schedule my time to come out and spend a couple days with everybody and go through it just on one-on-one with you guys and see what everyone's thoughts are about next year, right? So we'll kind of start that. One of the things when you're doing your, and I just want to talk about goal setting. The thing about, and I tell this to the managers all the time, it's no good if I tell you what your goal should be. It's better if you tell me what your goal should be and then I help you. And so I really want even the managers to kind of think about that when we're talking about the goals every month. It's not good if I say, hey, Steve, this is what you should be doing, and then you sign off on it. Instead, it should be a more of an interaction on the goal setting, right? Okay. Daily plan. So, a lot of times I'm at the top, it says habits of top sales, top performers, whether it's sales, whether it's success or whatever. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is, how do we start the day? And then what is our daily plan? And do we have the really, really good habits that are going to make us the most, productive? And I gave an example recently, one of my bad habits is, and I'll just ask you, Mike, do you put your socks on first or last? Second? Okay. And we kind of went around the room at one of the other meetings and everybody was different. I, for whatever reason, for years have put them on last. It's not really the smartest thing because I have to put cream on, and then because of my psoriasis, and then I end up staining my pants when I put my socks on. And just, you think about some of these habits that we start off with that we've done for years. Maybe another one is that, within the first minute, you grab your phone. And that's how you wake up. You're grabbing your phone, you're looking on your phone, and you're spending the first 15 or 20 minutes going through things, and that's how you're going to start your day. What I challenge everybody is to really think about, what's that first hour, what's that first hour and a half look at? Or what about this one? Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're not a morning person. Anybody hear that saying? Well, I'm not a morning person. My brain doesn't activate till 11 o'clock. How about you get up earlier? How about you go to bed earlier? How about you have a coffee? How about you really think about that, so that, when you really think about, if you have a daily game plan and you're not really being productive the first 2 hours, how that would change if, when you got to work at 9 o'clock, your game plan was done. You'd already thought about the previous day, what happened. You already have a plan and look at it, what you're gonna accomplish for today. And then that first hour became way more productive. What about this one, Steve? How about some of us who maybe get to work at 9, then we spend the first hour figuring out what we should have for breakfast. Hey guys, who's in for breakfast? Okay, and then that whole hour became focused on what everybody wanted for breakfast, and then we didn't really start executing our productivity till after that, which was at 10 o'clock. And one of the things, let's talk about the game plan books. The game plan books are so that the managers and the salespeople really discuss leads, but it's really a lot more than that, right? It's not supposed to be like, hey, what I got, how did yesterday go, and then kind of go through, what are we going to accomplish today? What are all those things, right? I guess what I'd like to challenge everybody is, you know, that daily plan. And what I do is, and I'm juggling a lot of things is, and that's what I'm trying to share with you is, I have sort of a point form thing that so I write 8 or 9 things down that I want to review for the day. And then, you know, in business, we have what's called KPIs, right? So they're called key performer indicators. And so I have all these departments and all these businesses. And so I write them down every day. And I think, okay, these are the things that I need to check on. And then these are the things I need to do. So you as a salesperson, no matter what your position is, have you identified in your daily game plan, what are the key performer indicators that I have to do every day to be successful? You know, we can think of a few here that I'm making it easy, but you know, obviously pipelining, we'll talk about that. We got the social media posts, we got the video messages, we got our whatever appointments we have today, we got how did we do on our deliveries, you know, and then you kind of write it out. And what I'd really challenge you guys to do is to make sure that that is ready to go, you know, before you got here. You know what I mean? So like when you get at 9 o'clock, you've already written it out. You know, planning your day shouldn't planning it once you get here for the first hour. And then, you know, I always challenge the managers, you know, are our game plans done? Have you had a chance to sit down with the guys? And if at noon you haven't done someone, then it's really not a game plan. Then it becomes a midday plan. So is it a daily plan? They should be done in the first hour. If it's a mid plan or it's just some type of task that you're kind of thinking about that, whether it's you guys or them, you know, and I talk about Brent a little bit, and Steve, you've worked with him and stuff like that, but you know, one of his best practices, and he is the top salesman in the company, so I do like to use him as an example. That game plan book is done before he gets to work. It's all written out from the night before. He's in the manager's office waiting for them to go through it with him. He's like, hey, let's get this done. I want to be the first guy. And then throughout the day, he's in there 3 or 4 times, going through it again, going through it again, going through it again, and constantly just milking it until there's so much written down on that one page that he's so focused on what he has to accomplish during that day, and he's figured out that he has to have his managers as a resource, and that they're just constantly talking about, you know, how he's going to get to 20, how this deal is going to go down, this and that. And you know, sometimes it can be a little bit of annoying to the other salesmen and to the other managers, even because he's so demanding on it. But that's his routine. That's his thing. And so I mean, I challenge all you guys, if you're getting to work and then you're going to write down your daily game plan and then you're going to plan your day, it's probably too late, as you're not going to be as productive as you could. You know, and I always say, like, on this one, you know, if we start, how we start and how we finish. So the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day, when you're talking about top successful people, those are the 2 hours where they really shine compared to everyone else. Because they're way more productive for the first hour. They're not grumpy, they're not pissed off about something they shouldn't be. They have a really good mindset and they're there to focus. And then the last hour, they haven't started checking out. It's not like, hey, wow, it's 5 o'clock. I got this to do at 6. You know, at 5:45, we might as well have already closed because they're not focused on going to the bell. And, you know, so if I can challenge everybody to really think about how you're starting your day at work and then how you're finishing the last hour, right? So that would be a real big one. Okay. We know that we're really short inventory, right? And just, you know, you can think about that. So, you know, I've been going around to all the dealerships, that one always came up first, and it was like, you know, inventory. So we don't have enough inventory. We don't have any new cars. We don't have enough inventory because don't have enough new car inventory. We're not taking enough used car inventory. Inventory. How am I going to make the same amount of money? How am I going to make more money? And then it takes up a whole bunch of headspace on it in our daily plan and what we're thinking and what we're supposed to be doing. And guess what happens? So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you think about why you're not going to sell as many cars and it's starting to take up space, then chances are you're going to sell less cars. Proven fact. So, you know, what I want to challenge everybody is it's my job to worry about the inventory. I'm pretty good at it. I've been doing it a very long time. So I'm working behind the scenes with the manufacturers. I have a dial into them. So, you know, I'm hearing stuff firsthand. That's something that you guys can't control. So let me control it with the manufacturers, working with the GMs, and it'll be fine. What I want to challenge you guys is to focus on what you can control, which is these KPIs. These are the things that you guys can control. So these 9 things that I've talked to you about, if you really nailed all of them, then you're going to have a really good 2 or 3 months, right? And that's why I'm kind of making the next few months, because we're going into a bit of a downturn plus the inventory. So we need to really execute some things and level up on a few things. And I think we're good. Like, I love the team here. You guys have hit some great results. You know, I'm proud of what we've done here in Penticton, but I do know that we need to level up. We need to level up on a few things for all you guys to make just the same that you've been making in the last 3 to 4 months. And I wanted to make sure that we're focused on the right things. So that's why I'm doing this. So it's really important. I wrote down good energy versus bad energy. You know, that good energy is really important for everybody. So, you know, because it's contagious, right? Customers see it, you know, not letting emotions get the best of you. As soon as emotions get the best of you, then what happens is the vibe and the energy changes, right? So maybe a deal goes sideways, you know, maybe something's happened, maybe it's taking too long, maybe you get shit for being late for a meeting, okay? The president of the company drove here an hour and he's waiting for you guys to start, right? Just little things like that, but you know, who cares? It's all good. You got to roll it off, right? You gotta have good energy. And so, you know, I always say that is, you know, when something happens to us, are we responsive? Do we give good energy after, or does it affect us? And now, you know, we're gonna go into a little different vibe, and then an hour from now or 2 hours from now, we're gonna affect everybody else too. So this is a big one for the managers because they affect a lot of different people, and it's part of leadership. They have to really set. So I challenge Scott, Aaron, and Steve. This one, you know, if you're letting your energy affect other people when things don't go your way, then that's a really challenge, and that should be part of your daily plan to write it down. And bad energy, and I always say this to people, part of your daily plan should be making someone's day. It should be right there. I'm going to make someone's day today. I'm going to wow a customer. Part of your daily plan is have great energy all day. Have a great mindset all day. You know, letting emotions, that's how we respond. Not good, right? As soon as you respond emotionally to anything, chances are you're not being as effective as you could, right? So everyone agree to this? Can we just go around the room and give me an example where of something that when it's mindset, whether good energy or bad energy, that maybe has affected you in the past? I remember, you know, basically with everybody, that best day you had in the car business where you sold 2 or 3, right? Everyone remember their best day they've had in the car business where they're just high, and then you think to yourself, so you just sold 2. Has everyone here got a hat trick before? Brad, you? Yeah, everyone here? Okay. So remember the time where you've sold 2 cars, and then you're going to talk to that 3rd customer. You knew what was happening, right? You knew that when you went to talk to that 3rd customer, that deal was going down. And it was all because of good energy, and it was all because of mindset. You just sold 2. No matter what the customer said, you're going to be able to overcome objections. No matter what the customer said, and I think of most people that had a hat trick in a day, that 3rd customer, our closing ratio was like 80% most times. And it was all because of the salesman's energy. Yeah, I say this all the time to people when one salesman's with a customer, the rest of you are kind of on a prop in a movie set. That energy and how you interact, they're watching you. They're looking, so whether they're, someone's in the office with Aaron or someone's in there, the rest of you, when they have downtime, they're watching. They're seeing how the manager interacts with the salesman, and same in service. The service customers are watching you guys. So we really need to be aware of the surroundings and help each other and make sure that we're given that good energy and positive stuff, even when it's not our customer. I say this all the time. Like, we had a service meeting yesterday, and in Kelowna Hyundai we get real busy, and we get all these people lined up, sometimes getting their tires done, and they're in the waiting area, and then they're in the showroom. Then we got the managers walking right past them. They just bought the car 3 months ago from the guy, and they can't even say hello to them. And just because we get so caught up in our own little worlds that, what about the 2-foot rule? What about anyone that you come in eye contact with, you acknowledge and say, hi, how are you doing? Great to see you again. Just whether they're in sales or not, but they're in service. Especially in a small town like this, like every service customer, you guys should be like rolling out the red carpet every time you see them. And I think sometimes we'll forget about that. We won't go and have a conversation with, the 2 people sitting on the couch. Just going and sitting down and saying, hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you in here before. Are you from Penticton? Or vice versa. Hey, how's it going? Just making them feel really like a community and really taking your time, I guess, and really spending 2 or 3 minutes with every person. Hey guys, yeah, so these two are married together. So just kind of challenge everybody to be really aware and really try, give yourself examples. I used to give myself reminders, like 2 or 3 times where I come and say, positive mindset. Because what happens is we might start our day really well, right? We have this really great intention, and then something happens. And then at 1 or 2 o'clock, we're not in a positive mindset. We're not having good energy. So I have actually an Outlook where I've trained for my own reminder to come in, and it's called a mindset check. So at 1 o'clock, I get this day timer, this thing on my phone. It goes to my phone, it goes to my Outlook, and it says, mindset check. And then it reminds me that, okay, am I giving off a good vibe to my staff? Am I giving off a good vibe to the people I'm communicating with? Because chances are I've already had a curveball, right? So I would challenge everybody to, it's like, there's a reason why there's 4 quarters in football, right? And there's a halftime, or there's periods in between hockey and sports. That's because everybody needs to kind of do a quick timeout. You guys need to do a few timeouts throughout the day and then reset. And if we don't have those resets or those things as part of our daily plan, those little reminders, and we're forgetting about the mindset, and we're forgetting about the good energy at halftime or going into the 4th quarter, and trying to finish the day real strong, then it can really deter our productivity, right? And we're just not as productive as we can be. So that would be something that I'd really try and challenge everybody, to have your own little checks and balances where you can do a reset. Okay. This one here, improve skill set. So I'm gonna kind of go around the room. Mike, tell me, do you know who Alexander Ovechkin is? Okay, so we'll use this analogy as he is the best shooter. So he lines up mid-hash on the power play. Everybody in the whole rink knows that it's going to him. The goalie knows, all his players knows, the other team knows, and he's perfected getting a really quick release gone, and he scores the most goals in the NHL. That is his best skill set. Everyone would agree that that would be his best shot. This is the biggest one for most people's development that they don't spend enough time on. They don't spend enough time actually thinking about it. And a lot of people's habits are that they deter from the things they're not good at and they focus on the things they're good at. And so I want to challenge people to focus more on the things they're not good at so that they develop and they get better at their jobs, and there's also an achievement aspect. So the first part is like when I'm doing lots of managers and stuff, sometimes people have a hard time actually talking about stuff they're not good at. Just their egos won't let them. 1 and 3 should be part together. So when you're doing a proper game plan and you want to be a top performing, successful person, you need to write down what you're not good at in your daily plan, and you need to write down what you're good at, and it should be part of your plan. Daily, right? The bottom one, number 9, is consistency. If you're not thinking about your skill sets every single day, both the good stuff and the bad stuff, then you're not developing quick enough. And that's what a lot of guys forget. They all know how great they are. Everybody knows that. Everybody gets to pump their chest out and say, I'm really good at all these things, and our egos take over, and sometimes they get in our brain a little bit too much. And what I can tell you is the best habits of top performers is they're constantly thinking about the things they're not good at. And it's in their mind on how they can be better and what they're going to do as part of the action plan daily. So that would be something that I would really challenge everybody to spend more time on. And that yearly plan that we're talking about, please write it down in your goals for next year. I'm hoping that you leave this meeting and you start doing it immediately, but the big picture stuff, please write down a whole bunch that you're planning on improving on and how you're going to do it. It was funny, I did one of this meeting, and about 10 minutes after one of the meetings, one of the people said, hey, I'm all done, I'm ready. I said, wow, that was quick. We just finished the meeting 15 minutes ago. He goes, yeah, can we meet before Wednesday? I said, yeah, sure. Tuesday at 3 o'clock. In my day timer came up, Jess says, hey, you have this meeting with this person? I said, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I seen it on my phone. So I drove back, I was at another dealership. The guy gave me like 3 or 4 things. I'm going to sell more cars, like that type of stuff, right? I said, buddy, this isn't, like, watch the video again. This isn't what I was talking about. None of the things that I was talking about in your game plan for 2022 are written down here. Selling more cars is not a goal. You need to say how many cars you're going to sell. You're going to have to put how you're going to do that. What are some daily habits that you're going to do? Where's your weaknesses? Where's your strengths? Where's your big goal? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's what top performers do. So that's the type of thing I wanted to give you an example. Because I had to say, hey man, you're not ready to sit down with the president of the company with this. Like, go back to the drawing board. I'm not trying to, cut you down here, but you didn't put enough thought into it. So spend the next 2 weeks putting some thinking in it and start writing down a whole bunch of stuff that you're good at, that you're not good at. Think about some really big dreams of yourself that you really think that you can accomplish. Then put them down on paper, read them over a whole bunch of times, and then come and talk to me. Because then I'll know that you've really put some thought into it, okay? But strengths and weaknesses. Okay, this one here, pipeline. What do you think I mean by pipeline, Ryan? Yes. So the top performing salespeople in any industry are dedicating some time every day to their pipeline. Now, we're really good at tomorrow's pipeline in our company. We got appointments for tomorrow. Where we have to level up in is a pipeline means forever. It means, like, I'm thinking ahead, 30, 60. So like on internet leads, do we have a process? An internet lead comes in today and we're really good at, an internet lead comes in, we're really good at sending them a lead today, maybe one a week ago, maybe one 2 weeks from now. Haven't got a response. But how are we with pipeline if we haven't got a response after 30 days? After 45 days, after 6 months? How is that pipeline set up? Or what about the pipeline as if we just sold a car today? How are we good on the referrals? 70, you guys mentioned rapport building, 70% better closing ratio. A 70% better closing ratio happens when they're a referral or a repeat. We know this data. So I know you guys have boiler rooms and stuff. Now, cold calling, we know that that's going to yield low results. So we're going to give you lists to call blindly if you don't have your own list and you don't have your own pipeline. That's what we do. But I challenge you to come to a boiler room or come to have a daily plan and have a real pipeline process together, and you're going to get way better results. Because we know 70% of the people, 70% better close-in ratio on referrals or repeats than cold calling. I'm going to date myself a little bit. I didn't have data. I didn't have technology when I was with you guys when I was early on in my career. We had Rolodexes and we had little daytime books. And then we had a phone book. Remember what those are, some of you? You ever seen a phone book? Okay. And it'd be like, our boiler rooms were like 6 phone books on a table, and it'd be like, okay, you got A, you got B, you got C. Here's the word track. My name's John Cott. Wondering what kind of car you drive. We sell cars here, and, you know, that type of thing. It was very generic. Now we have this technology, and we have past customers. We have all these things that we can do. So I really want to challenge you, you know, how good is your pipeline? And part of your daily plan, does it say pipeline on it? And do you actually think to yourself, okay, I'm really good about tomorrow? The best salesmen don't even take fresh customers anymore. Lines, they have it set up a week in advance. You know, and not everybody was here on the bamboo tree, right? Meeting. Did everyone watch the video? Okay. So Nick, what was the story about the bamboo tree? How does it grow? Do you remember? Okay. Okay, well, you guys can Google it. But basically, the analogy and the story behind it is, it grows underneath the ground, and you never see it sprout for the first 5 years. But you still have to water it for 5 years. And then on the 5th year, it grows 9 feet tall. But if you forget to water it at all for the first 5 years, then it dies. And you don't have a tree. So there's huge discipline and huge commitment. So when we think about that, sometimes with these pipelines is like, we water the tree really good the first 3 to 5 days. And then I think we forget some days because we want to see it sprout. We want to see it grow. We want to see some blossom, but we're not committed enough. Because sometimes on referrals, you know, we know our referral process. They buy a car. Hey, a large percentage of my customers, Steve, is from repeats and referrals. Can I call you within 5 days? And between now and then, do you think of a friend, family member, someone that might be interested in a new vehicle? And then sure enough, I put it in my Outlook, and then 5 days from now I call them and say, hey Steve, how's your car working? Remember when we talked about when you bought your car and you were a little bit, there's lots going on, you were in with Aaron, and you know, we didn't get a chance to really talk, but I did ask you about a referral. You know, now that you've had the car 5 days from now, have you had a chance to talk to him? And he goes, no, I still haven't. No problem. Can you think of me, Steve, if something comes up? Sure. Hey, Steve, would it be okay if I called or emailed you, you know, touched base with you in 30 to 45 days and talked about how your car is working and talked about a referral our referral program? Sure, John, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to put you in my Outlook. Can I call you about the same time? And then I put it in at 45 days. And then I actually call that customer in 45 days. And I say the same thing. And then guess what happens again, Steve? He says to me, I don't have anybody. No problem, Steve. Hey, I know that usually a lot of my customers, they influence a friend, a family member, a coworker, a circle of influence of some time, that they're going to buy a vehicle in the next next 3 months. So I just want you to keep thinking of me if anything comes up. Would it be okay, Steve, if I called you in a couple months? Sure, John. I want to make sure that everything's going good with your car. And what happens with a lot of salespeople is they think calling a customer is going to be heat, so they don't do it. But I can tell you that's how you get customers for life, is when there is a problem and you resolve it. You should never, never not want to handle a problem. You should never be scared to handle a problem. So then I call again, whether it's 90 or 100 days, and then I say the exact same thing again. You still get nothing. Now this is where that separates the top performers and the average performers, because the average performers now stopped watering the bamboo tree. They didn't see anything. So now that customer is put aside and they start focusing on another fresh customer that just bought a car. And they don't have a process for the 6 months after that's really consistent. And that's part of their daily plan and part of their pipeline plan. But chances are when it pays the yield is right here. After the 4th or 5th time, that's when you get the referral. And that's when the bamboo tree grows in referrals. It's after the 4th or 5th time, because then 6 months later, now he's had the car. Now someone at work has finally said to him, thinking of going in and buying a car, and he said, you know what? I get this guy, John Cott, that calls me every 45 days. He's great at customer service. He's always asking me for referrals. Would it be okay if I called him and gave him your name? I'd like to get this guy off my back a little bit. I'd like to give him a little bit of nugget. But he also remembers he's going to get the 200. Because after 3 or 4 times of me reminding him that I want to put him on my payroll, then he remembers. And then that 6 months later, after the 4th call, I get a referral. And that referral has a 70% better closing ratio. He walks in, hey, I work with Bill, we work with Steve, who you sold a car to. And I'm saying, oh, I love Steve, it's great. Talk to him every month. He goes, yeah, he told me you talk to him a lot. I said, yeah, what kind of car are you looking at? Boom. And usually the guy buys the same day because it was set up properly. So does everyone kind of agree that we need to level up here on the pipeline? Is there anyone that's that good at the referral process in the room that can actually say to me that that's their strength, is their pipeline? And I want to tell you is that selling cars and being a good closer and building rapport, that's an easy one. That's a given. Most salespeople have that skill set, or they wouldn't be able to do any of it. So now you need to think big picture. Be the master at technology and be the master at pipelining, then you're going to really, really get a pay raise. So that's what I would really challenge you guys is, and we have a marketing company here, so feel free to email Perry yourself and say, I want to have it set up properly. I want to have it set up. You don't even have to use Steve, and you know, we have a specialist on CRM. We have a specialist on pipeline. His name's Perry. So feel free to say, hey, John came in and did the meeting. I'd like you to help me get an automated pipeline system, whether it's in my Outlook, whether it's in my CRM system, whatever it is, can you help me? And he will steer you properly and get it set up. But this would be one that if you did it really well, you'd sell more cars and you'd make more money. So I think everybody can level up here, eh, Steve? Would you agree on that one? Okay. Repeats is the same. This one here is social media and technology. So I really like to challenge people on this one. You know, Tesla, for instance. Do you guys know that Tesla is the #1 automaker in the world right now? The richest company? Yeah. So Tesla is a software company. And they're the richest automaker. I'm going to repeat that. Tesla is a software technology company that sells the most cars. And they make the most money. If you are not focusing part of your daily plan on social media and technology, then it will pass you by. You will not be able to stay relevant in the car business. You might get some numbers, you might be okay at it because you're a good salesman, because you're good at rapport, because you're a good closer, but you will not be a top performer. To be a top performer, you have to get that in your skill set. And it has to be a daily plan. My company is focused on it. And the managers know that they need to be focused on it to stay in my company and be successful. And I want that to trickle down. So what do I mean by that? It's like, are you promoting yourself? Like I used to have in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, again, I'm dating myself, but I used to have what's called John's Pick of the Week. You know, my mom pulled it out when I went and visited her recently. This picture of me when I was 21 standing in front of a fresh trade used car. And it said John's pick of the week. And every single week I did it in front of another people, and then it had this little square thing, 8 by 22 in the newspaper. And then sure enough, some guy walked in and said, "Hey, I'm here to see this guy with this car." And then you can just envision it, Dennis chirping, another salesman, "That's my customer." And the customer heard him. He said, "Well, no, I'm here to see this guy. John's pick of the week. I want to buy my granddaughter this car." I said, "Come on over." Sold him the car. But because of me promoting myself, it trumped that. And now you guys have technology. You could all have your own picks of the week. You could all have your own inventory. You could all, you know, Facebook marketplaces, everyone's doing that. But are you promoting yourself? Are you doing lots of, you know, on your own Instagram, on your own Facebooks? Are you doing lots of stuff to really tell everybody, that all your followers, of what you do? I've seen some of your Instagrams and they look really good. They kind of profile of what you like doing, but none of them really identify what you do as in your positions. And I think everyone in the room that knows I'm your follower, I'm not, maybe you want to separate it. That's okay. I'd like to know why you think you should separate it. Doesn't make sense to me. If you truly are making this your career and this is part of your identity, then why wouldn't it be part of that? Why wouldn't it be part of camping, part of everything else, but everyone that knows you knows what you're about, and where you work, and the products you sell, and that you become every single person's car guy? That would make more sense to me, and that would make more sense to technology and social media. So that's why I'm kind of challenging people. You know, I think some of you really need to put a strategy together on how you can promote yourself, promote our products individually. Because when you really think about it, if you want to sell 14 cars, you know that you need to probably get in front of about, even if you're really good, 30, right? That would be like a 50% closing ratio. Some of you are probably there. If you're going to put that all on me and hope that I'm going to provide you 6 times 240 people, I don't know if I'd bet on that. That's a lot. So I'm going to do my job and get as many people in here on my own marketing, my own stuff, but you shouldn't rely on me. You should rely on yourselves. So part of your daily plan has to have these 2 things in it, and it has to be a real, you have to have it written down and say, am I dedicating this amount of time to it? What am I doing for social media today? What am I going to do for pipelining today? That should be part of a proper daily plan for a high performer. So I really challenge, you know, these 2 things to everybody to level up. Because we have a great team here and you guys are good at it. I see some of your posts, but there's a lot more levels there. And it's gonna pay dividends. But it's that bamboo tree. It does not pay immediately. It only pays once you do it for 2 or 3 or 4 months. Every single day, you had these posts and you had these promotions. Then finally, one day in March, someone's gonna say, "Hey Nick, I've seen some of your posts. I really love some of the stuff." You didn't even know he was looking at it because he didn't like anything. And then he's gonna say, "You know what? I think you're a cool guy. My wife and I are coming to look at a car. We want to know if you'd be available." And you'll be like, "Wow, how did this guy know me?" "Well, I seen some of your posts, and it made me think of you." Right? Now, if all your posts are about you and your girlfriend traveling and stuff like that, then that's not going to sell you a car, man. It's great because that's part of your identity, but put it in there. Because even though you're only getting 20 or 30 likes, lots of people are looking at it. You guys just all admitted that you're on your phone the first hour of the day, a lot of you. Everybody does that. Everybody's looking at stuff. People are searching your name. They type in Penticton. Okay? And then if you put where you were at with your post Penticton, your name's coming up and they're like, "Who's this guy?" Right? That's how people do things. So And then this last one, consistency. So what happens with a lot of these meetings, everybody does it really, really great for 3 to 5 days. Then I come back a week from now or 2 weeks from now or a month from now. And all the things that you talk to me about, you start doing 50% of them every day. So take a picture of this, write it down, watch the video again in maybe a month as a group, and keep constantly thinking about these things. So consistency goes back to the daily plan and goes back to habits of top performers. Consistency means every day. As soon as it becomes a flavor and then 2 or 3 days you miss, now that's a trend. It's that, and then you got to start over again. And that bamboo tree already died. Now you're starting to grow a new one. Throughout a year, you've started to grow 50 bamboo trees. Not one of them lived, they all died because you had to start over every time.